with a threat. We've heard specifically a pipe bomb. We also heard someone say that this supposedly, this person making the threat has an AK-47, and again, supposedly is inside the school. So we just, we're just kind of waiting to see. And, there are a lot of young people here. I want to be careful that we don't go up to, kids who are minors. So if I'm going to talk to someone, I'd rather have it be someone who's a young adult. But tell you what, Brian, why don't you just kind of show the scene, and I'm going to kind of scout out some people to talk to about what is happening here. If you bear with us, Marissa, because, I mean, obviously this is impacting them, seriously.
Bob, I know you're trying to speak with some of the students there, and of course we want to make sure that they are of age or at least have permission to speak with us on camera if they can from their parents.
And
that's the most important thing.
I know, that's going to be tough. Yeah, and I know I would love to speak to some of these kids. I'm just reluctant to do it live because, frankly, they've got the same information we have, and they see this. They see these armed people heading into their school. So I know there's a desire for me and others to hear from these students, but I'm just reluctant to go up to them,
Well, you can certainly see all of the law enforcement out there, the heavy machinery, just checking out the validity of this threat. And just watching the video here, Bob, you can just think that there's definitely some, at least smidget of credibility to it, at least enough to warrant all of the blockages there and all of the officers there on scene. I do have a question, though. Do you happen to know at what time today that threat came in, or at least that law enforcement learned of it?
So, hold on. Yeah, that's fine. Come on over here, ma'am. Sorry, Marissa, as we're watching this car hop the curb here, and I was just talking to a parent. What was that question you asked? I'm sorry.
About what time was the threat first made, or what time did the law enforcement agencies learn of it?
It was around, I think it was around 11:30, 11:15, 11:30, which is right around lunch hour. They take an early lunch here, and the exams that began at 8 were still going on and were interrupted. I'm told, I heard from someone who was taking an AP exam in the gymnasium here that people started running into the gymnasium, that adults in the hallway were yelling at kids to get into the gymnasium, interrupting the test, which then kind of got put on pause. Brian, come back over here. I've reached out, at least initially, to a parent. We saw the school say, hey, parents, don't come here. Obviously, many are compelled to. What do you know, and what do you make of what's going on here toward the end of the school year?
I just saw that my son sent me some video footage and some photos of what he can see from his classroom. He was taking a retake of a test during lunch, and he knew there was a lockdown, had to continue taking the test. He's like, I had to lock in and keep remembering everything about pre-calc. So I just came over here hoping to be here when they release the kids.
And we've watched this truck coming down the way here. When you say, it's loud, so we'll be quiet for a second. Ma'am, when you say that he sent you video, what was that of? The police presence?
Yeah, it was very brief, but it was from within the classroom, and you could see the, like the SWAT team sort of, rifles, I don't know guns very well, but he and his classmates that were in the classroom during lunch taking the tests were pretty freaked out. Now they're sitting there quietly, and they're used to this. It happened, it's happened before.
Yeah, unfortunately. And what has he told you in terms of the messaging coming to the students who are being sheltered in classrooms?
Not too much detail. He hasn't told me too much. I'm not that helpful when it comes to that. He doesn't know that I came over here. I just want to be here when they get out so I can give him a hug and walk home with him.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. She asked that we don't say her name.
I have that parent here.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can grab her quickly. She said that this has happened before in terms of the threats, but has she seen this level of a presence from law enforcement as a result of one?
Well, I'll be honest, Marissa, my son is in the school. My son is a senior here and was taking a test. And this was newsworthy, I think, initially, because earlier this week, there was a report of a student with a gun in school. And basically, MCPS confirmed, yes, that there was this report, whether it was true or not, that the kid had a gun in the school. So all this week, frankly, on the parent listserv here through Bethesda-Chevy Chase High School, there was a lot of back and forth because parents weren't getting a lot of specific information. Was there, in fact, a kid with a gun? Was a kid allowed back into the school? Did they recover the gun? Was there ever a threat? So here it is, from a situation that started on Monday, as a report of a kid with a gun in school. Now it is Thursday. There's a report of a bomb threat coming from within the school. And I just, being a parent of a BCC student myself, that's, I believe, what she was talking about. We know from other schools around the area, there are occasionally bomb threats called in. But I think what is tugging at the emotions here, as we see again, you've got this whole major roadway. This is East-West Highway going from Connecticut heading toward Wisconsin is closed, and more of a response keeps coming in with trucks and personnel, armed, SWAT folks. So again, it's not been confirmed that indeed there is a kid with a gun and a pipe bomb in the school, but that's the threat we're hearing, and that's why the response you're seeing.
Yeah, and you can understand the fear, the frustration, considering what the woman just told you. Also, you telling us that your son is at that school. There was no real resolution to the initial threat earlier in the week that was made, so you just kind of wonder what's happening here. Question for you, Bob. When was the last, I guess, notification you received from the school? When was the last time you got one today regarding this matter?
Probably about 15 minutes ago, saying that the IB exams scheduled this afternoon were canceled. They had earlier said the AP exams were scheduled. So probably in the last 10 minutes or so. And they had said, please, parents, don't come down here. But as you heard that lady who, again, asked us not to share her name, a lot of parents are obviously understandably concerned. And Marissa, I don't know, I haven't been able to talk to a producer. I know we have a second camera that has a different look down into the school. Have you been able to use that camera angle? And if not, it would be helpful, because that's a better angle of the school. And in fact, so you're seeing from our second angle the front steps of the school. We have seen, heavily armed SWAT team members continually arriving, heading on inside. They have canines going inside. There's a police helicopter up above. The people you're looking at from our camera angle are those who are running the drone. So I don't know what necessarily good a drone does if the threat is coming from inside a room, whether it's a bathroom, classroom, or what have you, inside the school. But they've got everything they're throwing at this here at Bethesda-Chevy Chase High School. I was going to say this morning. It's obviously 12:45 this afternoon.
Now. Yeah, they want to cover all of the premises, and we know full well East-West Highway, a major thoroughfare just down the street from our station here. I see some of the students in your shot, others gathered looking on. Describe to us the feeling that you're getting from people who are standing around wondering what's going to come out of all of this.
I'll be honest, Marissa, these kids are tuned in, and I would say they're not acting all too freaked out. In fact, there were some adults from, I don't know if they were, middle-level administrators or teachers who were telling these kids, hey, back off, get off, and settle down, because they were kind of treating this as it was like another occasion to get out of school. And even though there was this situation earlier in the week, I just from looking at them, and I have been speaking to some of the students, most of the ones out here, frankly, are younger. Because of this, for the upperclassmen, it's winding down. They're taking their tests. Some of them aren't even coming to school on days where there are tests that they're not taking. So what you're seeing out here are a lot of freshmen and sophomores. And again, that's why I'm reluctant to put them on live TV talking about this thing. But you see these kids here are just kind of wanting information and just kind of hanging out, and don't seem to be freaked out. It's frankly, some of the parents who are obviously a little more concerned. I've put the microphone down and asked some of these kids to call their parents and ask if it's okay if they talk to me on TV. But maybe some have gone home and are freaked out. The ones who are hanging out here seem to be taking it fairly well in stride at this point, at least. Again, because they've had to deal with this.
Yeah,
maybe to this level, but this kind of thing.
Yeah, some of the upperclassmen, as you said, taking final exams, AP exams. We know that happen at the end of the year, and perhaps some even on lunch, left campus perhaps. I was wondering why it was the case that there were so many students gathered outside. I'm wondering if they were, having lunch when all of this occurred.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them found out either in, text communications with their friends who were at the school and in the know, or as they arrived here and saw all the Montgomery County Police cars blocking off the streets. And I mean, like we're right across East-West Highway from the school, so we're very close. But those coming back for lunch were kind of greeted by police a block or two away. And we were actually on another side of the school, and Montgomery County Police asked us to move back up to East-West Highway. We were on one of the side entrances with a pretty clear view of what was going on, and they asked us to come on up here. So I think most of the kids who hadn't heard in phone communication with their friends found out as soon as they got back here from lunch. And again, they all walk about 3 blocks into Bethesda. There are a number of places right around here, and those are the kids you see out here who are coming back from lunch and are not allowed back on campus.